Hello, everyone. This is Nicholas Peter Ugero, and I just want to do a little update on what's going on in my life right now. On Friday or Saturday, I believe, I was texted by my supervisor, and my supervisor is for a construction company. I got this job from working with my neighbor, who I was doing landscaping for, and then as the months were going on, she was telling me that she works for a company as a designer for a construction company. And so she told me about it. I seemed kind of interested. It was something I was at least open to looking into or seeing if there was any future for me in there. And turns out there was. She gave me an opportunity to work for them. I was thinking it was kind of under the table because I didn't sign any documents or do anything like that. But so I started working for them in tandem with continuing to do landscaping for her. So it was around July I started for them. And so I've been working with them for all these months until now. This week is my first week of not working for them. And so I was texted on Friday or Saturday and told that one of the electricians that we hire, he took a test and the test came up positive. Ooh, watch out. So they were saying that everyone was going to get tested. And there's not that many people. It's me, the supervisor, two other workers, and then the electrician who we hire him for certain jobs, so he doesn't work for us, but he's just hired. And so he said how they were all going to get tested, and he was saying that it would be good for me to get tested. So I asked him, I was like, hey, is this a mandatory thing, or is it not? I'll actually just screenshot the conversation happening here so you guys can see. But, so I asked him if it was going to be mandatory. He's like, oh yeah, we're expecting a negative test for when you come in. We want to have a negative test. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to unfortunately have to quit. And then I also gave him a PDF document and said, or if you're interested, or if you guys are open to looking into this document that shows you guys don't have the right to do what you're doing, you could do that, at least. Of course, I didn't get a response from him. I texted my neighbor, who's, in my view of who I communicate with, she's the head honcho. So I texted her and asked her if she can give me any documents, or all the documents related to me and working for that company. So she, yesterday, agreed to doing that, or Monday, I think, agreed to doing that. And so she sent me some, or told me that she'll get that stuff together. So my overall point is, we have to stand up to this crap. Now is the time to prepare, whether it's physically or mentally, or with any sort of goods, whether it be food, water, maybe batteries, any sort of medical supplies, any sort of supplementation, any sort of stuff like that, like elderberry liquid or vitamin C tablets, like pure vitamin C, or just anything, good clothing, good durable warm clothing in case the power goes out or anything. Just think about anything that you need, or specifically like gold and silver, or maybe if you're into crypto, get some crypto, but anything to prepare yourself for having to stand up to this, what's going on in terms of actually losing your job. Like, because luckily for me, I'm living with my dad. I basically don't have to pay rent, but I'm paying for all my own stuff, like my gas and my food and all that stuff. So all that's something that I have to take care of. But I know I put myself in the position to where I know that I'm not at the behest of all these people. Like, I know I can quit and be fine for the most part. I know I am definitely a go-getter now, so I can definitely find something in terms of helping out someone within my freedom cell and doing maybe babysitting or watching over their son, or a numerous amount of other things. So for me, luckily, I have gardening experience, landscaping experience, so I can utilize that in a couple months once things start picking up in terms of heat. But for me, I knew I had this position. I was in this position to where I could leave. So that's what I mean in terms of preparing. We gotta prepare for that eventuality, because my line in the sand might be different than your line in the sand. But at some point, you might also have to just leave your job. So to prepare in any sort of way you possibly can, and understand the position that you're in, the situation you're in, whether you have kids or a huge mortgage that you have to pay for, also a car, insurance, all this stuff. You have to have that all in your mind as well, and prepare with that, all of that in your mind. So yeah, people can say, oh, for you it's easy because you quit because you don't have to pay for rent. Like, yeah, I put myself in that position. I could have gotten an apartment years ago, but I chose not to. I chose to invest in a ton of gardening containers and a bunch of soil and a bunch of things that I could put in the soil, and then a worm bin, and then also my food storage stuff, and my water and my silver. I was able to take all that rent I was going to be paying, and I put it towards things that were of value that can help me prep. So I chose to stay here instead of going out and getting my own place, even though there's a lot of benefits to doing that. More privacy, more being more independent, and all those things. Those are all great, and I wish I could do that. But I chose to do this because I felt this was way more important. And so I'm the most prepped in my entire family. Some of my family has way more silver than me or way more crypto than me, but I have so many other bases covered at the same time, and skills that I've gained also. So some practical skills. So now is the time for us to really start thinking about this. This is the brand new year, 2022. Last year was or 2 years ago was the start of the whole COVID thing. And then last year was the start of the whole vaccine mandates. And now they're just whittling it down even further, going from the like live shows and all those kind of niche things to now doing it where it's restaurants and all that stuff, especially in Chicago, Cook County area. Now they're doing the restaurants and those things. And then if we don't push back, or there's not sufficient enough pushback, they're going to start going for the grocery stores. So we got to prepare. And I'm lucky enough to already have some experience with dumpster diving. I already know tons of places around my area where I can dumpster dive. Right now it's freezing cold, so this is the best time to go dumpster diving. And then just what you're looking for and all that stuff. Like, I already have that experience, so we should definitely be considering dumpster diving. That's definitely a route we can take to save on some cash. Yeah, you won't be able to choose what you find there. It's going to be a crapshoot, but I'd rather get some cheap, shitty food than to get no food and just be buying food all the time and then whittling away my income in that sense, instead of being able to prep in a different way. Because right now we can at least dumpster dive and utilize some of that stuff and limit the amount that we have to spend. So anything that we can do to possibly try to prepare ourselves and to also try to activate and come together and stand up to this stuff, it's only going to benefit us if we do that. And if we don't do that, we're only shooting ourselves in the foot, first and foremost. Not even talking about the community or anything, but you're on your own personal level basis, you're shooting yourself in the foot if you don't start preparing in some form and preparing for that eventuality of you being forced to quit your job. Unless you're fully independent, then by all means, then that's fantastic. You're already prepped in that way, because you made sure that you aren't succumbing to that stuff. You aren't going to be affected by those mandates and all that stuff in that sense of your job and your livelihood. So this is just a call to action. Let's start getting some stuff done. Let's start prepping in some form, and let's just solidify our position even on our own family level. Because if we're not sustained or have any sort of balanced footing, then we're gonna. And if we fall, then what good are we to anybody if we don't even have our own stuff kind of prepped and stuff? Because as time goes on, if we're not prepared at all, our normalcy is going to be very much rocked and shattered. And that's why I prep, because I try to make things as consistent as possible, to where if I lose my job, or if I quit my job, I still have income, I still have cash hidden away, I still have other things going on, and I can maintain this. I know what things that I can do to keep myself afloat and to earn a little bit of extra income and make sure I have food storage or anything like that. So, just also a reminder to stick to your principles. These people do not have the right to do this. No human being has any more or any less rights than you do. We have wrongdoings, which is murder, assault, rape, theft, trespassing, coercion, and lying. Anyone that thinks that right and wrong is just a human construct and it's just subjective, it's based on what we think and feel, then look at those 7 things and think to yourself, is this a wrong? Would I consider this a wrong or a right? And I would say most people that have the ability to think that rationally would see that those are wrongdoings. So everything outside of those 7 things are a right that we possess. So when they talk about blowing off fireworks, or when they talk about cannabis or any drug or anything, when they talk about anything, if it's not one of those 7 things, it's a right that you have inherently, God-given, creation-given, whatever, source-given, whatever you want to call it. We have these rights inherently. We have to understand this. People want to talk about just voting. We have to vote harder. Yeah, our election was stolen, but we're going to vote harder next year. And we just got to be more diligent. Yeah, being more diligent is fine, but that's not the root cause. It's not the root issue. The root issue is us believing in another group of people who are also human beings and thinking that they have more authority, or they have authority over us, they have more rights than us, and they don't in reality. And we cannot force or coerce anybody to do anything, whether it's good or bad. We cannot do that and have that bring about freedom and more prosperity for people. That's not going to happen. Why do we think we need more laws? We think we need more laws because people are acting immorally. People are doing the wrong thing consistently, and it's an aggregate of the society. So we think having more laws and more rules and more restrictions is the way to solve it. That's just a band-aid. That's not solving the root issue. What's causing people to act like this? It's values, it's principles, it's our environment around us, our TV, our music, our movies, and games, and all this stuff. It's what we value as a culture. It's the culture that's really embedding all these false notions of what right and wrong are, and thinking that we can just come up with it as we want. Our belief in the ability of other human beings to do this is what's causing these human beings to use that to their advantage and to our disadvantage. And it's not just about left or right. It's not about red and blue. It's not about it's not about democracy versus fascism or communism versus a republic. It's the basis of us believing in the authority of man instead of the authority of a creator or a god, whatever you want to call it. But apply these principles to your own life. Look at those 7 things I listed. Think about it and try to not do those as best you can. Make the free will decision to not do any of those wrongdoings and see what happens in your life. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anyone's word for it. Do it for yourself. See how it handles or how it works in your own life, and what things you notice if you use your intuition and really think about it as you're going throughout your day. See the opportunities open up for you and see what the results are. Does good come from not doing those things, or does bad come from not doing those 7 things? And from my experience, good things have happened in my life if I am consistent and I'm principled and I stand up for what's right. And that's why I left my job, because they don't have any right to try to mandate me to do anything, whether it's for my well-being or not. Give me the information so I can come to the understanding that you have come to, and then I can make the decision for myself, like an adult, like a human being. Informed consent. We have to stand up to this stuff, guys, and we have to understand it's not about voting in the right person. It's about understanding that the system itself is inherently immoral, and it's slavery. That's basically it. So we have to come to that understanding, and we can try to apply these principles into our own lives, and we can see the results for ourselves. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this. I really do. I'm sure YouTube's going to be throttling the hell out of this stuff because I already said COVID and stuff. Who cares? I don't care. Find me on BitChute, find me on Odyssey, find me on these other platforms that aren't censoring the hell out of everyone. So thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.